Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blue Soccer. Again, John Dave and myself are going to look back over Leinster's victory down in Galway last weekend, all the other Pro 14 action, and of course look forward to our big game against Munster in the Aviva Stadium on Saturday. So boys, we went down to Galway, a place we haven't won too frequently recently, but we came away with a nice victory down there.
We have our victory tally up to 50% over the last 6 years, seeing as it was down at 2 out of 5. But yeah, it was hard fought. Jeez, they made us work hard in the first half, didn't they?
It's only 6-3 at half time. I know Sexton got a penalty in
right on half time.
Yeah.
So yeah, they made us work hard, but there's a lot of handling and stuff that could have been tidied up, and we could have actually could have got 4 tries there. I'm not saying we should have or we deserve to, but I'm just saying there's a little bit more composure at the right times, and there was a couple more tries out there for us.
I said it to you at the time. I think that, and it's an analogy I've used before. Sometimes Leinster play the opposition like the boiling lobsters. You throw the lobster into the boiling pot of water and it fights and splashes and whatever. But you put it into cold water and then boil it. It doesn't feel anything. And sometimes Leinster do that. They ramp up the pressure and ramp up the pressure and ramp up the pressure. And when they came out in the second half, they got an opportunist try, fair enough. But when they built up the pressure, Connacht couldn't really do anything against it. I mean, there was 20 odd phase pieces of possession Connacht had. And they didn't look like making a line break. I mean, they kept possession very well and all that, but Leinster were quite. I mean, there's an element of Leinster where they're not too worried about the opposition having the ball as long as it's slow, unusable ball.
I think that's what Friend actually said in his post-match comments. Like he said, "Well, we've seen what the standard of European champions is, and that's where if we want to be competitive, that's what we have to attain. That's the level we have to get to." And you could see it exactly as you said, Dave. We were just too strong for them, and it just the first 40 minutes we didn't look great, but it's just the game's played over 80.
Well, that's it. I mean, what you do is you just slowly draw the sting out of an opposition, and that's what we did. I was looking at statistics, for example. Bundy Aki, who a lot of their game is based around. It's based around his passing game. It's based around his offloading game. He didn't make a single offload in the match.
He was quiet.
Quiet. And the number of passes he made, as opposed to Scarlets the week before, against Scarlets the week before, he made 8 passes. He only made 4 against us.
Give me the ball.
He beat 4 defenders the previous week. He didn't beat a single defender against us, and he made no line breaks. So if you do that, if you just smother the opposition and stifle the opposition, then they're not going to cause you too many problems at the end of the day.
Well, he kind of coincided with a bit of an improvement, shall we say, from Mr. Tamani on our side. It would have been his opposite number. Again, not perfect game or anything, but he's considerably better than his. He had a couple of disappointing run-outs, so it's taken him a while to get up to speed, but he seems to be coming along. So yeah, I was pleased with him. It's good. We're kind of skinny in the centre, You'd think of obviously Henrose as our top choice, and then you've got him and O'Loughlin would be number 2. And there's not really too many with Tom Daly injured. There's not too many others you're going to put in there. So we're an injury away from having a bit of a centre crisis.
Rory should have scored a try. He did all the hard work.
Yeah.
It was probably harder for him not to score that then.
He was unfortunate, but
he was one of the ones that was left out there.
Yeah, there were a couple of those. I mean, there were a couple of passes put down and stuff like that. But it was a game that Leinster had a few kind of little reverses that could have upset them. The injury to Rhys Ruddock, an untried Sean O'Brien coming in.
He tried pretty well.
little things like that, and to a certain extent, what happened was Leinster star players, the guys who want Leinster to play well if Leinster are going to win, play well. And the guys who Connacht need to play well if Connacht are going to win, like Bundy Aki or like Tiernan O'Halloran, didn't or weren't let. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Leinster pretty much stifled Connacht pretty effectively.
Well, we got a couple of nice tries anyway. Why don't you line them up there, Dave, and have a quick look at them?
Roll it there, Colette.
Colette.
Well, this is Gary Ringrose's try.
That was a beaut.
It really was, yeah.
He just runs that little parabola that.
Well, he manages to find a gap beside Tyke Furlong, which is generally pretty big.
Yeah.
Tadhg Furlong just sucked him into his orbit.
I think Tadhg did a little bit of a block, didn't he? But he's learning off Jamie Heaslip.
He managed to look innocent about it though, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
But it was a try we needed actually, because we needed to get something on the board
For all the dominance.
for all the dominance we'd had. I mean, it started off I mean, look how early it is. 1 minute 2 seconds into the match, Rob makes a very good break.
Yeah.
And I suppose this is what Stuart Lancaster talks about when he talks about being comfortable in chaos. He found a couple of big lads to run at, and then ran at them.
Yeah.
But he just ran that kind of curve outside the man that other people have run in the past. See the way?
Yeah.
Just hit a soft shoulder, run in a curve, and in there.
Talking
Looks
about
looks so
another
easy.
famous 13 and blue.
Well, it does look a lot like him. It looks like the
Brendan
kind of
Mullen.
lines he would run. No, Brendan Mullen was a lot more
O'Malley.
straight line, wasn't he? We kind of hate the comparison. Like, he's a different player. He's a different shape. He's a different, he's
Different era, even.
Yeah, he's a lot taller. But he just manages to look like him at times in certain ways he runs in certain lines and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know what I can't define it exactly, but he has that little touch of magic.
Same stride nearly, doesn't
Yeah, it's
unusual.
it is.
And then Cronin got over for his one, Dave.
Yeah, Cron got over for a more traditional try, shall we say.
His darts are pretty good, I thought.
His darts were excellent, but Shawnee's he has worked on that. It was the weak part of his game, and he's worked on it.
I always think though, when it comes down to the crunch, is he going to deliver? Like, it's okay playing against Connacht and sports grounds.
It's not really that okay.
Semi-finals
Try
in
it.
Europe against Clermont.
Oh, you mean is he going to deliver the needed dart? Well, that's the question. But it's a question about all our hookers.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I always think people talk about Jerry Flannery was a bit of a fluke. I mean, in terms of for whatever reason, I don't know why.
Practice.
Irish hooker. It's a practice. I mean, they all practice. I mean,
Yeah.
Irish
He
hookers.
was a kind of obsessive about it though.
Yeah, but Irish hookers aren't accurate. If you think of over the last decade and take Jerry Flannery out of it, think of the rest of the Irish hookers from a multitude of provinces. Accuracy would not be the thing they'd put on top of their CV when it came to the line out.
But Cronin gives you a lot more than, someone, just
Oh,
say
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Rory Best,
Yeah.
obviously he's very good over the ball, but certainly not as dynamic as Cronin is. Or Keith Woods. Keith Woods' darts were brutal.
Oh no! I'd agree with you entirely, and I think that to a certain
Drop
extent,
kicking that.
yeah, to a certain extent,
That's
maybe
what really matters.
maybe in Irish rugby that the priority for our hookers, for whatever reason, hasn't been thrown into the line-out.
Yeah.
Because you've got, if you think about it over the last couple of years, you've had Rory Best, you've had Bernard Jackman, you've got even like Frankie Sheehan, you've got the lads at Leinster at the moment, even young Brian Byrne coming through, who I think is going to be a world-class player. If you were to pick a weakness in his game, it would be his darts. So, I don't know, it's just something about Irish rugby, I think. It's just what we want in a hooker.
Yeah. Well, obviously, maybe the defence is putting them under a lot of pressure as well, We just expect them, they're throwing in the ball and there's lifting. Sure, of course they're going to win it. Maybe sometimes they're up against really good players that can compete on
Well, but that's the thing. If you look at the stats of the Irish lineouts, provincial and international, we'd say last year, they were on top of all the charts or near enough to it. I think didn't Leinster go until the semi-final or something before, or at some point they went a long time without losing a line-out anyway. In Europe, So when they're up,
but then
so
you do see teams like even in the match there on Saturday, like we didn't compete on our own line out. Sorry, on their line out on
Or 5
our
metre.
5 metre. We didn't compete.
Couple of times I noticed that.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's guys paid a lot of money to become coordinators of the line out or whatever. They know what they're doing, but it just seems counterintuitive sometimes when you don't compete.
Just throw Toner up at the front.
yeah. Well, there is that. Recently enough, I had calls to watch Leinster versus Montpellier in Montpellier, and we put guys up on every single one of the thing, and we only got 1 out of 4. If you remember, and they cost us tries.
Okay.
So maybe they're looking at the win loss
and the risk reward
reward.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're doing.
Well, one piece of news that just actually came out today was that the Connacht lads who
We can do this because we're live.
Yeah.
We're live. How are you, Caroline and Brian?
The Connacht lad who got sent off got his sentence reduced from 12 weeks down to 6 for
Well,
stamping on Josh
Well,
Van der
we
Fleer's
see
head.
here. It's not so much that he got his sentence reduced. He was allowed to mitigate it down. He was given the highest sentence and was allowed the highest mitigation. He obviously didn't go in there and he didn't bogart the biscuits. But I mean, you can see both touches held the flags out. It was so obvious.
Stamping someone's head is fairly.
It's a pretty dodgy thing to do. I
think 6 weeks is very lenient.
6 weeks is.
He looks like he kind of came off both feet and jumped down with his right.
He gave him a good shoeing on his head. And 6 weeks is lenient. I mean, people were talking about throwing the ball. I would have been happy if he'd gone in at the end at the maximum entry point and stayed there. 12 weeks would have been probably appropriate.
Yeah. Well, would you say we were a bit fortunate? Like, I'm not sure. I don't think you have the footage of it, but there was I think we picked. I think it was
the lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
now watching it from the telly, I felt that he came down on his neck and shoulders, and I would have been. I think a yellow card might have been fair.
My attitude to those is if you do that, you're asking the referee a question. And there's really then you've only got a 1 in 3 chance of getting away with it. Because you're either going to get away with it, you're going to get a red card, or you're going to get a yellow card. So you really are, rolling the dice there. If the referee had given a yellow card or even a red card for that, it'd be very hard to complain about it. When you consider the things that have happened in recent years.
Because they went back and replayed it, and I honestly thought, he's going to go and look at it on the big screen and minimum yellow. And I'm surprised he didn't. Glad he didn't, but.
Yeah, the only thing that can be said is that it was reviewed, and obviously, like you had the officials decided not to, and it's not like Simon McDowell has a long time love affair with Leinster, but look,
or indeed Irish rugby.
It was the man is one of the 20 richest men in rugby.
He is indeed, but didn't he not give the decision to France?
He did. That's right.
In 07.
Yeah, he did.
Awarded it right to France.
I love the way that the IRA, the IRA, I think they were after him. No, I love the way the IRFU played that afterwards. They said it just shows the integrity of officials that Irish rugby produces. That one would make such. But anyway. Yeah, he's one of the 20 richest men in rugby. But the thing...
In the world?
In the world, yeah.
In Ireland.
No, in the world.
No, he's not one of the 20 richest
men in rugby in the world. Sorry, yeah, not one of the... No, it's one of the 20 richest men in rugby worldwide.
Where's Michael Cheika?
Well, Michael Cheika is up there as well, actually. He's a very, very wealthy... McDowell's family, McDowell, they have a construction company that's very successful in the UK.
Very good.
Until Brexit.
Well, one bit of good success, I suppose. You mentioned to John the rudder going off. One man's discomfort is another man's pleasure. Sean O'Brien came on and played 40 or 50 minutes.
55 minutes.
55 minutes,
yeah.
And it was great to see him back on the pitch. It's been a long time, and obviously he's a wonderful player, but he's played very little for Leinster over the last few seasons, and clearly was itching to get back in there. And you look at a guy like him who's played at the highest level, but he missed out on everything last year, a Grand Slam, European Cup, League.
Shocking.
Yeah. But great to see him back anyway.
Yeah, and he's in good form, and he wasn't blowing that hard at the end of the game. From what I could see, he looked super. And hopefully continues it next week.
Well, it gives us that option to do what we did. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, what Joe Schmidt used to do. You'd have 4 back rows and you'd rotate them along the line. Because all 4 can play in all 4 positions. Or all 3 positions.
You're always going to get someone injured. You're always going to get someone rested or recovering or whatever. That we need the squad, and obviously it played off for us last season. You can see that. We'll get on to the discussion that's happening with the selection policies over the last few weeks, and particularly for our match against Munster, whether there's going to be rotation and players rested. We'll get to that shortly, but these lads are worthy of their place. And you need a deep squad in order to, as we showed, that's probably the reason we were able to win a double in Europe. Not many teams have done it in the last few years.
Well, I remember a couple of two seasons ago when Johnny Sexton got injured that time, and we were left 2 academy out halves, and I was a bit, I suppose annoyed would be the wrong way, but I would have liked Leinster to have signed a joker, because I mean it was an important part of the season, but it wasn't possible. But we had two guys, and those two guys turned out to be those two boys grew up to be Joey Carberry and Ross Byrne.
Well,
You know,
and this is the thing that happens though. We say this a lot, but the coaches see the potential in these guys. We're not watching them at training, like
Having said that, what I just said was result bias. It wasn't anyway. Go on.
It was, yeah, of course. Hindsight is 20/20 vision and all that, but like, where you, me, and lots of other people
Oh yeah, we don't see them.
who may go to A games or may do whatever, we're not seeing what these guys can do week in, week out, or what their confidence levels are, or what their the psychology going on, or how whether they think they're ready mentally,
That's
physically.
it. I'd say every single one. I'd say certainly I do, and I'd be very surprised if any other Leinster fan has certain players that they can't understand why they get picked. Even if it's just in the squad or whatever.
There's always a reason.
And well, yeah, exactly. There is always a reason, and we don't see the millions of things that those players do between Monday and Thursday to get into the squad on Friday. So to a certain extent, what we're doing is we have a perception of them based on pretty limited game time, whereas the coaches see them all the time.
And they see their information from their trackers, and they see what they can do in the gym. They and they know them so well. As I said, mentally they know whether they're able for. Look at James Ryan as a great example.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lad who you can put in anywhere, and the coaches obviously knew that he was ready to push straight onto the stage, and he was going to perform, and he did.
That's just a comment in there, and that's bloody typical. Hugh Maher asked, did John Granger get a haircut for the live broadcast? No, but I did. Nobody noticed.
I got this 3 weeks ago, Hughie. But thanks.
So anyway, that victory, of course, keeps us top of the table. We've 4 victories out of our first 5 games. Unfortunately, like these results the last couple of weeks have been against clubs that aren't in our conference. We're playing Munster, not in our conference. Connacht, not in our conference. So even though we've got the win, we're not putting anyone further down the ladder.
They're doing that. The Munster did that for us last week.
You get to benefit yourself, but you don't get to damage anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Because Scarlets are ominously poised, behind us. They're only 1 game. They've won 3 out of 5, 15 points. Ulster, likewise, of course, they had a great start to the season, but they were stomped down in Thomond.
I don't think any of us have seen more than 20 minutes of it.
No, I taped it, and I decided to watch it on Sunday morning. Watched the first 25 minutes, and it was too much for me.
You were so bored you went to mass.
Well, it was too much for me, Dave. I couldn't put up with Munster running in tries from behind their own line and stuff.
I did think Ulster would lose that match when I saw the pack that they were sending down, but because we said it last week.
Yeah.
But I didn't think they'd lose it by that much. I did not see a kind of a record hammering.
Yeah, and it was a record.
And it was a record
for both Ulster and Munster.
But I think when Henderson went off, it seemed to make a difference, and maybe he was the only one that was a bit of the glue holding it all together. And when he went off, that was it, sayonara.
Yeah. Oh no, I'd agree with that. I mean, even at full strength, right? Even if they have Jordy Murphy there and they have all the other guys and Dysel and Coetzee and Henderson,
and
Rory Best, the front row in particular for me is still it's not up to the standard of Munster's front row or Leinster's front row, certainly. So they're always going to be a bit on the hind foot, perhaps literally in the scrums, in that regard. And then if you take guys out, then they're just going to be in trouble. I mean, they have a decent. I've always said that the players are there. They see McFarlane seems to be going well. He seems to be getting something out of them. Or he certainly was at the beginning of the season. But he met a bloody roadblock in the form of Munster, so he did.
Also, they've just come back off a
that's
short turnaround from South Africa,
Yeah.
where they got a lot of injuries. So,
And would have been really confusing. I mean, they were down in South Africa. They spent all that time travelling back.
and then they ended up.
And then they end up in a place where half the signs are in Afrikaans anyway.
Someone had to say it.
What was it? Somebody called Joe Shannonsburg.
There you go.
Classic. But Marty Moore still hasn't featured.
Hasn't passed a chipper.
Or collected his £200.
No, apparently he is still injured. He posted a picture. He posted a picture on one of the social media things anyway, and he looked more svelte than he had when he was at Wasps. Do you remember when he came on against us against Wasps whenever it was 18 months ago, and he looked rotund.
Those striped jerseys,
They do add.
And the camera adds another 10 back.
Well, the question is A, how many jerseys he was wearing, and B, how many cameras were on him. So
they don't flatter the.
He didn't look like a guy. He didn't look like an athlete. You know, from what I've seen of him this year, and it's very little, and it's all on social media and on Ulster's site and stuff. He does look to be in better.
Yeah, but you look at our props, or the majority of our props, like, you know, you say Sean Cronin, Keane Healy.
You could do your washing on his stomach.
But you could, like, I mean, he looks so
cut,
you know, and
Porter's the same.
And Porter's the same, you know, so.
Which is pretty outrageous considering he can squat about 1 million kilos.
I can squat, but I can't get back up. No, but I mean, it is. There was a time when props were turned into powerlifters.
And when you had your man Sheridan. You know,
Sheridan in
It
particular.
was a powerlifter.
It was, yeah. But you had that kind of, and the game moved away from that. But certain of the habits stayed. I mean, the scrummage has much more technique than it used to in, say, Sheridan's or John Hayes' day, indeed, when it was a power man game. Now it's a much more technical area, but there's still that element of guys who still want to, you know, build up the power. You know.
Well, you need a balance.
Yeah.
You need to be able to get around the pitch after the scrums. Though is the big thing these days.
Yeah. I suppose just quickly looking back at some of the other fixtures, unfortunately the two South African teams are continuing their poor form. Like they've got one victory out of the 10 games
And a draw.
You know, but like, are they becoming the new Italian teams? Like the Italian teams have got 4 victories.
They become the new Scottish teams.
Perhaps. I mean, but one thing I suppose, like, I'm just looking at the tables here, and the tables, the kind of the usual suspects are kind of in the top 3 of each of there's Glasgow, Ospreys, Munster, and 1 in Pool A, and Pool B, Leinster, Scarlets, and Ulster. You know, you could nearly. Right now, you could say, well, these are going to be the teams that are going to be competing in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're the best teams with the best squads. I mean, for example, 5 years ago, you wouldn't have said that about Glasgow.
No, I'm just disappointed that I'm not seeing any.
Oh, you're not seeing a team doing a Glasgow.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. That's a fair point.
I thought
did it.
Well, exactly, but I just wanted to see more this season. Like, I thought Edinburgh might have kicked on this year.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have. But, you know, like, it's still early days.
The Edinburgh, anytime you develop something, you reach a plateau, and it's how you push on from there. Edinburgh have reached a little bit of a plateau at the moment, and it's taken them a while to push on. But I've no doubt they will, because Cockrell has done a great job in there. Well, I don't think anyone would argue that he hasn't done a great job.
Well, they were very soft under Solomons, which is odd. I think it was because he played
Bradley.
the first team the whole time,
Yeah.
and didn't rotate. But they've got that hard edge now with Cockrell, which, you know, for obvious reasons. But can they build anything on top of that? They look like they could do, but like
Well,
you say,
they had a narrow 1-point victory over Treviso at the weekend. You know, like,
who are no pushovers anymore.
Okay,
That
but
has to be said.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to kind of reset our expectations on results against Treviso, just from, you know, tail end of last season, how they've gone so far this season. I think Treviso are going to be, we're going to be talking about, you know, players available for selection, blah, 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 blah. Treviso are one of those teams we're going to have to be a bit more respectful of than we have been in the past.
Absolutely. And we're travelling there actually in not too long.
No.
During the November, or just before the November.
Well, in a way, that's fortunate for us, because they will be even more hit than we are for those, because the limited player base / player availability in Italy.
Well, before we have a nice trip to the Venetian coast, we take on Munster and Diviva next weekend. I think it's 47,000 tickets sold so far.
Yeah, they said 48, I think,
Well,
today
great stuff.
on Twitter.
Looks like it's going to be
Close
pretty
to
close
a
to
sellout.
sellout. And I was surprised to see that the average attendance since the game was moved to the redeveloped stadium was 46,000 over the last 8 years, which is pretty good.
I think we dipped under 40,000 once.
Yeah.
From memory. We hit about 38 during the depths of Matt O'Connor's reign. But yeah, we lost to them in the depths of Matt O'Connor's reign about 5 years ago. But yeah, it's good. It's a fixture that everybody, the press seem to love to hype it now more than anybody else. I mean, I don't think the team see it as the big challenge they would have seen it before.
Munster
with
must,
the
Munster must
conferences,
see it as a challenge, because if you think back, whatever, 12, 15 years ago, when Munster were the successful team in the country, like that's where our
Leinster saw it as a big deal.
as our big deal, you know. Then of course that match in was it the 2nd of May, 2006.
Oh, that one.
You know, like that was a big watershed
speak
in
of
our history of the club, and you know, always wanting. I'm sure O'Driscoll saw the Munster players, and O'Driscoll and Darcy and all the other lads saw Munster going up the steps and getting the Heineken Cup trophy. That was driving them. I'm sure Munster fellas are looking at Leinster lads that they play with for Ireland going up and getting the Pro 14 and the European Cup last season and saying, Jesus, I'm not going to let these lads now, you know, we've only got the 2 stars, they've got 4. Like that must be driving them on.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I would have thought so.
For all our sakes.
I know it really pissed off Leinster players. What pissed off Leinster players even more was the reaction of Munster players in 2009 to when Leinster first won it. And they were saying, oh, it was all a fluke, and if it wasn't for Rocky Elson, you wouldn't have won again. And that really, really pissed them off.
So they had to go and win it.
So they had to go win it 3 more times. But so you'd hope that would really irk the Munster players. Problem is, not a lot of Munster players.
I was waiting to see who was going to say that first, but yeah,
But
true.
do you think that might have been diluted? I don't know. I'm not saying it has. And
No.
I'm not
It's
trying
hard
to
to
be.
know.
But like we talk about how professional rugby is in Ireland. These guys are professional. They're like, they don't get their win bonuses. They don't get their appearance money, etc., etc. if they're not playing. You know, that's where they make their cash. That's the reason that they're playing rugby. They're not playing for any amateur ethos. They're playing because someone's writing them a check at the end of every month to play rugby for whatever club is playing them, and that's the way it is. Like, I mean, there's guys on our team that are from Munster that are playing for them.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
Mike Ross. You know, I'm sure there's no prouder
There's
man.
only one now.
Okay, but there was Mike Ross was playing there. You know, he's got 60 odd caps and played 150 times for Leinster.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, like, I'm not saying you can't take away his Cork roots, but the fact is that he was probably no one prouder than him going up to get his medals as a
Absolutely.
Leinster man. And likewise Cronin. I mean, you see, I saw a picture of him scoring last year in the Aviva against Munster, and you know, there was a fairly big grin on his face when he was celebrating his try. So I'm sure he likes rubbing it in the nose of the province that he might sort of feel slighted him a little bit.
Yeah. Like I said, for once I wasn't being arch with the question. I was actually genuinely wondering.
No, I don't believe it for
yeah.
a minute. I just don't. I think that even, I mean, look at some of the foreign players that have played for Leinster and Munster that didn't have a whole lot of love for the other province, you know.
Oh well, yeah. Funny enough, I was listening to, and I generally don't listen to other inferior podcasts, but I was listening to.
Can't be many of them.
I was listening to The Left Wing.
No, that's better than ours.
Because it had James Lowe on it this week. So I was listening to that, and he was talking about guys who'd gone to provinces. He was talking about, say, Dougie Howlett, who never came home, kind of thing. So yeah, those guys really do build, and every province has a guy. Every province has. I mean, you've got Room Pinar up in Ulster, you've got Issa here, you've Dougie Howlett, and
I would say Contapomi here as well.
as well. Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just that he's back now.
But I'm just picking one guy from each province. I mean, they've had guys over. I mean, it's Swifty over in Connacht.
Who we saw there the other
Who
day.
we saw there the other night, looking svelte and trim.
Looks very well.
Um,
People stopped hitting him with, you know, it was
with
amazing
with,
how
with malls.
with balls.
I remember Rocky Elson and him having a fight under the posts.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, every province has those guys. So yeah, no, like I said, it's a question. It's just a wonderment more than anything.
But I suppose one thing that the media and the press is sort of building up was initially they wanted to see Sexton versus Carberry, but it looks like Sexton's going to be rested, and I was very surprised that they picked Sexton last weekend to travel to Galway. It's not, you know, it's more usual that
Tougher
they
game.
Possibly. I think the fact was that there's a
That's
6
an away
day.
game.
No, I think
Fairness.
it was a 6 day turnaround
Yeah.
between our match against Munster and our match the following week against Wasps, and I'd say that was
That's the biggest factor.
biggest factor. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the media focus on it. I mean, Sexton versus Carbery is a great headline, but it's not the full story of the game. The full story of the game is the various different combative things that can happen, back row against back row. How will John Klein go against James Ryan? John Klein has signed a new contract, which means he's going to be pretty much going to be available for Irish selection next season. And so there's lots of stuff like that. And I think the reason they focus on those two players in particular is because it's a nice headline. B, there was the whole thing about Carbery moving.
Yeah, of
and
course.
C, that obviously they are the pivots.
But it'd be interesting to bring your point back, Dave. Was we're good to see Ross Byrne playing against his old arch nemesis from UCD.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. You're talking about guys having
Will
a
we
thing.
see it though?
Yeah,
Like
well, that's it.
RTE are saying that Carbery's going to play for Munster. Loads of other people are saying he's not. Well, playing that is nearing a return. Will he?
I'd love it.
feature?
I'd love it if they picked Carbery a fullback. I really, really would. But I mean, to a certain extent, if Joey Carbery plays 10, he has to have a kind of a thing in his mind that this guy took my spot because I was the guy that Graham Henry said was going to be the next guy, and the Leinster coaches didn't really seem to agree with him or weren't certain enough about that choice, that they weren't overly exercised about it. I mean, Ross Byrne did start more of the big games, mainly because Joey Carbery was also so good at fullback. I would have loved Joey Carbery to stay and be fullback for Leinster for the next 10 or 15 years, with Jordan Larmour on one side and probably still Fergus McFadden on the other.
Well, he seems to be indestructible, doesn't he, Ferg?
Oh, he really is, yeah.
Rumours of the leaked team that a few of us have seen this.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
there are leaks going around, all right.
McFadden was named, so
Yeah.
But look, we could pick 15 other lads and we wouldn't know.
Well, you see, the thing that, and I know it's a point you want to raise, so do you want to raise the point about players not being available for big games, or are we kind of in this discussion?
Yeah, well, I guess we are. I mean, again, I was just listening to a little bit of a discussion on Off the Ball tonight, and I think they had Woody and Matt Williams were talking about it, sort of giving out about now if the team that I've seen, there's probably, I'm just looking through it, there's probably 13 internationals in that team. It doesn't look too weak. Sure, Sexton's not in it, but with the exception of him, there's a legitimate case for nearly every one of those players to be picked.
Yeah, the front row's a bit.
They're Leinster players.
Yeah.
One of the guys in the front row.
No, that's true enough,
played
yeah.
for the Lions.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. You don't have Tyke Furlong there, but he has played a good number of games. That's why we have a squad.
Could be on the bench.
This squad won us
Oh, yeah.
the league and the cup double last year. It's not like there used to be the old Liverpool team and you had 11 fellas and David Fairclough. This team is a squad and it's a full squad and they used 55 players or whatever it was last season. And I think this is what the Pro 14 should be about, because we don't have 14 clubs in Ireland that can develop players. We've got 4 teams, and therefore you've got to use these matches, because that means you can only use on one given weekend, if every player in the country is Irish, you can only be 80.
Yeah, there's only so many players you can use.
So what happens to the 86 guy? Does he not get to ever play rugby?
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. I mean, the thing is, okay, at the moment it's a golden age in Leinster in terms of squad depth, and we're in a position where we can pick 2 pretty much full international teams. So you're going along. If the team we think has been picked is the one that's been picked, then the fans are not going to get shortchanged, not by any means.
Oh, but that's what the whole narrative again in the media was on the radio show, that the fans are going to get short, and at some stage they're going to start voting with their feet. But clearly they haven't, because we've just mentioned the statistics of the attendance over the last 8 or 9 seasons. There's 47 or 48,000 tickets sold. Now maybe people did ramble along and go, oh God, I'd love to see Sexton playing against Carbery. Perhaps there might be a few thousand of those people that turned up. But I'm going there to support my club. My club is made up of 50 odd players.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I mean, Leinster won't win the Heineken Cup, as we can now call it again, or the Guinness Pro 14 with their first 15. That's not going to win it for them because it's not going to be enough. That's a huge amount of games.
Some of them are going to be injured.
And some of them are going to be injured. What won us those two trophies last year was our squad. What won us those two trophies was being able to lose Rob Kearney for big games and have Joey Carberry come in. Being able to lose Johnny Sexton for big games and have Ross Byrne come in. Been able to lose or choose not to pick Scott Farley because we've got James Ryan. You know, go without Sean O'Brien for 3/4 or 2/3 of the season because you've Dan Levy and you've Josh Van der Fleer. And then when one of them gets injured, you still have the other one. When Jamie Heaslip has to retire, you still have Jack Conan.
And I like that point because someone like Jack Conan has had plenty of games under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
If that was in another club, just say it was James Haskell, and the guy that's an understudy of James Haskell, all of a sudden he's got to step into the breach in the final 2 months of the season, and he's, oh God, you're playing in a European Cup final and a Pro 14 final with very little game time.
They'd never let James Haskell play in a Pro 14 final. Come on.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
He's played in every other bloody competition.
In fairness, he has.
Played in France, he's played in
Yeah.
Super Rugby, he's played...
No, but I'm just trying to make an example of someone who's been around the block a while.
Oh yeah, no, it's a valid point. And what the structure of the game in Ireland does is as you say, is it deepens the depth.
Deepens the well.
It deepens the well. I mean, it means that, you know, even us, I mean, we were quite a bit dismissive about it, but they have a lot of young players coming through, you know, that they're getting opportunities to play, whereas in the Gallagher Premiership and the top 14 they wouldn't get.
Yeah, and you might see, and maybe, you know, the wilderness years of Matt O'Connor and the first season of Cullen, maybe it's starting to show its benefits now. You know, you have to take a little bit of hard times, but you get those fellas blooded. You get 2-3 seasons of them playing, not winning, but playing, and getting their experience up at Pro 14 or European Cup games. And then when they need to play in the big games, they've come through and they're blooded.
Well, you look at the guys. Actually, nearly all the guys we mentioned there.
We threw in against Bath in the RDS.
Well, we dropped them the next week. Which was, as far as I was concerned, a terrible thing to do. But anyway, you look at like Josh, Dan Levy, Jack Conan, Ross Maloney, James Tracy,
Ryan.
the Burns. No, not Ryan. All those guys kind of came into the Leinster team in the Matt O'Connor years. You know, that was, you know, he wasn't a great thruster in backs, but he gave great opportunities to guys with single digits on their back. As it turns out, if you look at the Leinster Academy at that time, there wasn't great backs. I mean, the two best backs in the Leinster Academy that time were Darren Hudson and Sam Coughlin-Murray, and Cathal Marsh. You know, so
making a nice living for himself in New York now.
He is, yeah. He's going to get to play with Freddie Michalak
and Ben Foden.
And Ben Foden, yeah. Maybe Ben Foden can introduce. Oh no, he can't. I would say maybe Ben Foden could introduce him to some of the Saturdays, but he can't now.
Yeah.
But or maybe he can. No, but you know, those we had 3 or 4 years that weren't great, but at the end of it now, I mean, if there's a Lions team picked, all those guys are going on a Lions tour, or near enough all of them.
So where will the match be won and lost?
In the Aviva.
What part of the pitch at the Aviva?
Well, you'd have to think that a lot is going to happen.
I'm quite proud of that one, actually.
like all rugby matches, a lot is.
Tell him a joke, John. Tell him a joke. Tell him a good joke.
You have a good joke.
He writes all your material, Dave.
Anyway, but there's it's going to be like any rugby game. It's going to be won and lost in the pack. You'd have to think. Whichever one can get the go forward ball, the other, like, there isn't a huge amount of there's no Johnny Sexton, obviously. There may or may not be a Joey Carberry. There'll be a few. Actually, Munster backline could be featuring Keith Earls, Andrew Conway. What do you call him? England's Mike
Halley.
Actually, he's a hamstring issue, so maybe not him. But you could
Jack
have JJ.
back in training, isn't he?
Taute's there.
What about Chris Farrell? Is he still out?
Farrell's out until the new year.
Anyone from Munster?
Sammy Arnold.
The hurler.
Oh yeah, Darren Sweetenham.
Darren
Good player.
Sweetenham.
Very good player.
Like they haven't run out of Schminitz with all their backs because
Because they're Schmidt. I mean,
because Keith Earls is their
You've
only
got
Schmitter.
JJ. You could have Blendell coming in somewhere,
You never know.
maybe on the bench.
You just never know.
they're really dangerous on the wings. I mean,
You've got this new Kiwi, well, not new, but the fella who's just
yeah, Albie
made his
Matheson.
debut.
Yeah, well,
for
he's
them.
he's a really good player.
Yeah,
He
he's
has been for a
dangerous
long
looking.
time. But they have I mean, the area where they are, where you could nearly pick both their teams for the Irish wings for the Irish team, and nobody really complained because they're both excellent and they're both excellent for. And funny enough, they both play a very similar style of game. Actually, it's all about aggression and power and pace and.
I heard a very good a little, I suppose, analogy on somewhere, and they were saying that Joe Schmidt is a former winger, and it's actually the most difficult position in the Irish squad. It's the one position that he scrutinises the most because he used to play there, and he kind of knows it the best from a personal point of view, and probably when they're talking, and traditionally the wing was always the one that didn't really get involved with too many rucks and didn't know how to ruck properly. And and even someone like Zebo, who kind of got a little bit pissed off with the whole how things needed to be done, and he didn't
The
want
detail.
to detail it. Like ultimately, when he was looking to move, the IRFU kind of weren't too concerned with him going when they can bring Stockdale into the team and becomes the highest scorer in Six Nations history, or in one season.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, it's but that goes back to the depth we were talking about as well. But yeah, well, that's a point I hadn't thought about actually, about Joe being so observant of wingers because he used to be one. It makes a lot of sense because he does make what people might think were unusual choices on the wing. In that he doesn't go for the obvious choice a lot of the time. He has something. He has a set. He wants his wings to embody a certain set of skills and values. And he picks guys according to those, not necessarily the flashiest or the fastest. I mean, we saw there was a certain amount of umbrage because Craig Gilroy didn't get picked much. Same with Matt Healy, and obviously Simon Zebo, because they obviously didn't embody the values that Joe Schmidt, or didn't do the things that he wanted done. I remember, I think Craig Gilroy scored a hat-trick against Italy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Joe Schmidt tore
Talked
him
him
apart.
down.
Yeah, in the post-match, that's
Yeah.
what I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
He might have scored a hat trick, but his bloody defence wasn't great.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's the things that he's looking for, because that's what he wants from his wingers is certain, and you have to tick a number of boxes. Running over the whitewash is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
But many people can do that if it's just picking the ball up from 5 meters and going. But there's 101 other things he's got to do, John.
Absolutely.
So Dave, do you have any questions first that viewers or readers?
You mean
might have?
apart from John's haircut question? I do. I'm picking up my internet device now.
Excellent.
And I'm scrolling. We had a couple of questions actually, and we had a couple of good ones. So we go through them in terms of the order that Facebook and so show me. Hugh Marr asks, how come a back can play across the back line like James Hook? It's seen as how come when a back can play across the back line like James Hook, it's seen as a bad thing? He'll never make his position his own. But a forward who can cover 6, 7, and 8, and even the second row is a massive positive.
Well, I don't know. Ask Jordy Murphy if he moved to Ulster to get game time in a position.
Jordan. Oh, Jordan. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking of Jordan Murphy. Sorry, go on.
He moved to Ulster to nail down a position, as far as I understand it. So he would probably give the lie to that. I mean, yes, it's nice to get a guy who can play. They're usually either a 6, a 4-5-6, or else they're they usually there's very few second rows that can cover 7 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it's.
I think there's an element of
think there's
tactical
a bit of both.
flexibility to it as well.
Well, it's just like when Madigan was taken to the World Cup, allegedly covering 9, 15, 10, all of that stuff. I mean, he was ideal guy for the bench. We've discussed loads of times where Paddy Jackson would start if Johnny Sexton was out, but if he wouldn't get the bench if Johnny Sexton was fit, because Madigan's more versatile. If you can have a guy who can, like 6 and second row is a great one, because you've got those 19 and 20 positions where you can either have 2 back rows or you can have 2, it gives you great flexibility that way. And the same with 6, 7, 8. If you've got a guy who can come on in any of the 3 positions, like Jordy Murphy, Like, he was excellent in all three of the positions.
Yeah.
But
And you
then,
can see that he's kind of leaning towards 7, and that he wants to get I suppose at international level, he's a couple of inches short for an 8.
Yeah.
And he's
possibly,
definitely a couple of inches short for a 6. Although he can play both positions really well. Technically, he was always an 8, I think, coming up. But I suppose he sees himself at the highest level. He sees himself as a 7, and he wants to get game time there. So maybe
but then,
Hughie's
like,
point doesn't.
then you look back a few seasons ago, and we just spoke about it. McFadden, you know, was getting picked at the initially centre. Like, it was him and O'Malley were supposedly the next cabs on the rank after O'Driscoll and Darcy. But, you know, O'Driscoll was still hanging around, so was Darcy. He didn't know where to go. He was getting picked on the wing. And he went to Schmidt and said, like, where do you see me?
Yeah.
And Schmidt said, well, I see more of a winger. And he's kind of specialised in that. So rather than, like, sure, you've got someone like Hook, was an exceptional rugby player. Most people, I think, are better at one thing than...
You know, there's the old kind of cliche, jack of all trades, master of none, and I'd argue that James Hook is actually master of all trades rather than master of none. He's very, very good in every position.
But he's kind of missed out.
Yeah, I think there's more opprobrium heaped upon the utility back than the utility forward. A utility forward is seen as being tactically advantageous, whereas people don't seem to see that with a utility back.
But even if you think, like, a second row, you know, now they've started to there was no specialisation when I played of second rows. It was, which is your dominant? Are you more left-handed or are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Now, like, there's a...
They're bred as a loose headlock or a tight
exactly.
headlock.
And certain body shapes have become, you know, well, he's taller, therefore... exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, so even now they're a position that you just throw the big tall lad in has now become specialised. You know what I mean? And, like, I love seeing an athletic guy, and, like, I love seeing Henderson in the second row, because I think that adds so much to your pack. You throw him into the back row and I think he becomes nearly ponderous, because he's not quite as athletic as some of the specialised back rowers.
The guys who play, we've been in Leinster, we've been really lucky. We've seen pretty much 3 of the best 5/6s you can get. We had Nathan Hines.
Which position did you prefer him in?
Second row, of course.
Second row, but I mean, for example, we went down to Thomond Park and he played 6, and he was an absolute cunt. You know, to Munster, he really, really was. Brad Thorne, probably the best of all of them, and Scott Fardy. Scott Fardy's brilliant in either position. You know, so
signed as a second row.
Signed as a second row, indeed, and you see, there's one where the IFU player management kind of goes, works for you, because you have James Ryan, so he has to play. So well, let me play Scott Fardy as second row or in the back row. So in a way, in Leinster, we've actually seen maybe 3 of the best around at playing that slash position. So I mean, sometimes Henderson does look a bit ponderous when he goes to 6. But I think he wasn't so much when he was younger, because he's now kind of growing into his body, and that body is a second row's body.
Toner, sort of
like Toner, yeah. Who, by the way, is in 2018. If you were to do a player of 2018, Devon Toner. He has just been excellent every single game he's played for Leinster and Ireland this year. So I mean, I'm not sure why it's more frowned upon in the backs than in the forwards. I mean, you look at we talked about it earlier, the huge success Leinster had playing with the 3 guys across the back row, and then, you know, moving one out and the next guy comes in, and it's almost like a circular flow. Worked for Leinster though. And, you know, if you have the players, it all depends. It doesn't make any difference. If you don't have the players, you can't do it anyway.
True.
Well, I was saying last week that, you know, you could have a 3/7s back row with Levy, Van der Fleer and Sean O'Brien. All 3 of them are 7s, but you could play any of them in whatever position.
Well, in fairness, Dan, all 3 of them actually have a lot of experience playing in all 3 positions.
Exactly.
I mean, Levy and Josh Van der Fleer and Sean O'Brien have all played a lot of 8. And Levy and Sean have both played a lot of 6. So we're actually, again, as we were talking earlier about, you know, squad development and depth and having to play players when other players are away. So it's actually worked out for the benefit of everyone involved. So it's a good question. I don't know why backs are less trusted as utility backs. I think maybe even the word utility back is almost like
Every squad
it's
needs
almost
one.
slightly demeaning.
Every squad
Where
needs
back
one.
should be in the utility room. I think.
Yeah. Brian Hughes asks, is there a better / braver defensive 10 in World Rugby than Johnny Sexton? And my God, how much does Josh's line speed help our defence in driving ball carriers backwards, even when he's not the tackler but just the line leader? So 2 questions there, both excellent actually. Johnny Sexton is a massively powerful man when he tackles.
Sure is.
He's hugely powerful. He brings down second rows regularly. Sometimes
And he tackles them high too, which
Sometimes Leinster try and get him out of the way and kind of shift him 1 or 2 over, and guys look for him, and he relishes it.
Yeah.
I remember when there was a lot of talk about his cranial health, and he was
from Eddie Jones.
and even before that,
From
he
Georgie
came,
Hook.
he came back for a game against France, and the first thing Bastro did was run at him, and he just flattened the guy. Johnny Sexton just put him on the deck.
Yeah.
So
He's incredibly brave, and he reminds me of Johnny. Not so much he reminds me of Johnny Wilkinson, but Johnny Wilkinson used to thump people, but almost to his own detriment.
yeah.
Because he didn't. He just flung his body into them, whereas I think sort of Sexton is a
bit wilier.
bit wilier. Yeah.
I don't know, is he? Jesus. Like Johnny Wilkinson used to tackle low. You know.
He began to tackle low, but after he'd been knocked out 4 or 5 times.
And had serious problems with his shoulders and getting.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And the second part of the question is about Josh van der Fleer. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was just unbelievable.
He
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
You got to see him up close, and I tell you, he was everywhere.
Yeah, and
everywhere.
to think that he, Tuck O'Brien's back after 7 months or whatever it was. He's back.
He had a long layoff.
Josh van der Fleer was out since the first round of the Six Nations.
Yeah.
In February. So.
And again, going back to the match against Montpellier, I was watching that time. He was brilliant in that game as well. So he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But he can do it all. He can tackle, carry, and he can jackal obviously as well. They're the 3 big parts of his game, but he does all of them so well.
He's very much a classical 7, so he is, isn't he?
Yeah, and as we've said probably every week now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, has that Keith Gleeson ability to pop up on the shoulder of a centre, or he's just
the linking role.
He's got speed as well, so he is.
What was it they used to call Josh Kronfeld? The shadow.
There
Because
you go.
whenever Jonah Lomu turned around, there was Josh Kronfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have another question in from Gary Wynn, who asks, how come Leinster are putting out such strong teams so early in the season? It seems we will be running out of Schminitz.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. They're obviously looking to blend these things. Like nobody would have traditionally always go full out for this game, get all your combinations for the Munster game, get all your combinations playing together, get them hardened up a week before the game. But as you already said, Jason, it's the 6-day turnaround is killing that. And I'm not sure what day Wasps are playing. Do you know?
No, I can't remember.
But maybe they have a 6-day, or if we're really lucky, a 5-day turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's coloured the thing now. So
There's
as regards
also-
guys starting earlier, I was surprised how early a lot of the big names came back and how they were playing full games in
We
quite
have a
early.
different season. There's a slightly different paradigm this season, because this season doesn't stop in May really. This season runs through till after the World Cup. So the peaks and troughs when Joe's managing the players, the model he's using will be different than the one he'd use say last season.
There's no summer tour.
There's no summer tour, so it'd be hard to know based on previous years what we're going to see this year, because it's a very different paradigm. Even the World Cup itself, because it's in a different, over in Japan and stuff like that. It's not like it's over in England / Wales like it was last time around. It'd be different again because it'd be travel and all this kind of stuff. So it's hard to know
a
why.
few strategic lads on holidays in Bali or Thailand or with their boots under their bed,
Definitely. Yeah.
We've another question in from Aisling McIver, and she wants our thoughts on the new Ulster European jersey, please. I don't know, have you seen it?
No.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's
quite
grand.
nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah,
Ulster jersey.
yeah, it's red. It's
Red.
as I presume the idea is that it's kind of a throwback to '99,
Mm-hmm.
when they had a red away jersey or a red
In
change
the
jersey.
final, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's the idea behind it. I think Cookery do nice gear anyway. So You know.
What do you think of the Munster European jersey? It looks like there are empty seats in the stand.
Well, you see, Jason, we were having a discussion earlier that maybe the
design.
ground in Thomond Park looked less than half full. Maybe it was more than half full, but they were all just wearing that jersey.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, it strikes me. I think I actually thought it was a strange thing to do. I mean, the reason for the multicoloured seats in Thomond Park is to hide when the ground is emptier. But that sight has become a common sight over the last couple of years because it tends to have dropped a bit everywhere. Not just in Munster, it's dropped everywhere. But in Munster, it's more noticeable because you can see the coloured seats. So the idea of putting that in the jersey strikes me as a bit counterintuitive. But I what do I know? I'm only a graphic designer who sold thousands of T-shirts relating to rugby. So I don't know anything about rugby design at all. You know, I mean, what do I know? I mean, Brian O'Driscoll only uses one of my designs as his Twitter logo, so I don't know anything about design
That's
of
true.
jerseys. So anyway.
You're a fair judge.
And every one of his followers has to give you €1. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. That's why we have this magnificent broadcast facility that we have here, Jason. I mean, we
Blues
put
Talk Towers.
Blues Talk Towers. We put Virgin Media to shame here.
And that's why there's 6 other blokes. Just
Although I will
over
say,
there.
I do think we're transmitting at a higher bit rate than Virgin Media 3, but that's neither here nor
That's why
there.
there's 6 blokes over there, and you're not having to change the.
Oh yeah,
camera.
we've got a full production suite here. I've currently got an intern being sexually assaulted by me under the table at the moment.
Controversial, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's
Anyway.
walk away from that one quickly.
Nigel, get up now.
Yeah. Anyway, Murdo Thompson asks, further to the earlier question about Johnny, is he not overprotected by referees? He seems to have quite a soft spot and likes to milk a penalty. It was never a yellow a few weeks back. So brave. Well, first of all, I mean, if you listen to anything Ross Moriarty has to say, England's Ross Moriarty. Because I call him that because if you remember when he was playing for England,
He had a
in the
lovely
20s,
foul there, or he
He's-
was sent off.
he rammed Luke McGrath headfirst into the turf in
Yeah.
an under-26 Six Nations game. Got red carded for it. Ross Moriarty, I tell you, the apple didn't fall far from the tree there. And that's all I'll say.
You could
about
get
that.
away with more in his dad and uncle's time.
The reason why Johnny attracts so many penalties and stuff like that is because he plays so close to the line, and he's perceived as being such a key player. Idiots
People
like
take him
Moriarty
out.
try and take him out. That's why it's as simple as that. You'll always get some fella who's more brawn than brains. You know, a David Corkery type, who think he can do. But I mean, we see. I mean, I remember him playing for Ireland, and he gave away 1 or 2 really stupid penalties that cost Ireland significant. You know, nearly matches. Not quite matches, but certainly significant positions in matches. So, you know,
It's very interesting hearing modern players now referring to their penalty counts and letting the team down.
yeah.
You know, like
It was a badge of honour.
in my day, it kind of was a badge of honour. Oh, Jesus, I can remember one game, the scrum half running over to me and saying, that guy's coming through at me, would you sort him out? You know? And that was like, the our little scrum half was giving me carte blanche to give away a penalty, to sort out this guy, to stop him getting... Now, if you did that to... You know what I mean? Now, if you took the law into your own hands, well...
Yeah, but there wasn't a billion cameras
No, of
watching
course
you.
not. But what I'm saying is that the ethos has kind of changed. That it's no longer, if you've cost the team a penalty, which is potentially 3 points, which could be, the same thing happened back in my day, but it was okay because
Because the balls were so big and heavy and full of water that you couldn't kick them over the bar.
Well, I remember when I started playing rugby when I was whatever age it was. I remember Tom Malone down at Coolmine saying to me, when it came to the rucks, if you're on the wrong side, you deserve what you get. You know, and so you were going to get a shoe-in if you were on the wrong side, and it was your own fault. But the game has changed. I mean, all sport has changed. And it's common in all sports that, guys who played 10 years previous to the guys who play now always think the guys who play now are a lot softer than they were back in the... It's just the sports have changed.
True.
Murdo asked another question, which I will go into as soon as I unlock my Facebook device. He's talking about plastic pitches. He says, did you see Adam Moran's face after his face plant try at Scottstown and on our plastic pitch, and Glasgow Warriors defenders attempted rubbing his face in it? See the clip and article on thing. Now, I'm not going to do the thing, but if you look there,
Fairly horrific looking.
you can
Ouch.
see that's a pretty gruesome thing, and that is the danger of playing on plastic pitches. That there is a higher friction rate and burn factor. I mean, Jason, you played on a plastic pitch and a very high tech plastic pitch in the back pitch in Lansdowne.
Yeah, I thought I thought it was a great pitch to play on. Like there was a few. Now the only thing was that the bounce of the ball was a little bit
Hard to
False.
predict.
false. But I used to catch it on the full. So
You just swung a leg at it.
no, but those little rubber balls that there's literally millions of them. Your gear bag is covered in them, and they get in your hair, up your nose, everywhere, literally everywhere. So say if someone wants to take the law into their own hand and give someone a bit of a
rope.
doing with them, yeah.
Nasty.
There has been comments amongst players about plastic pitches in the last 12 months. People have been talking about it a lot. I don't know how much of it is. I mean, obviously that's a real injury, and that's not something. But I mean, there has been talk. I mean, there was upset at was it Cardiff or Glasgow's pitch before, where players were quite badly burnt.
I think it might have been Cardiff. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now it's a previous generation technology, but in America they got rid of American football got rid of an awful lot of their AstroTurf pitches because they were causing injuries.
And like they were like tracksuit bottoms, for want of a better word.
So I don't know.
Riding breeches.
I like rugby played on grass, but I'm not going to be a Luddite about it. If the technology works,
Well, do you remember?
then go for it. But it has to work.
Do you remember Glasgow's pitch? I mean, it was a mud bath.
Oh,
No.
in Firhill.
Well, actually, no, in
Scotstoun
Scottstown.
before they
Oh,
put
Scottstown.
it-
Yeah, sorry, yeah. But
Like,
still Firhill.
no different to Donnybrook. I mean, that like the amount of games. I mean, people
Donnybrook Beach.
exactly like people used to be a little bit when they redeveloped the stand there. You know, they thought it's a waste of money. There's actually was an awful lot of matches played there because you had all the schools games, your club matches, your club finals were played there. Like I remember playing in the final there, and there was literally no blades of grass.
Yeah.
It was sand, and every player was given a tub of Vaz for your elbows, knees, and all over your legs.
Just to clarify, you did go to CUS, no right?
Well, I was playing for the Wanderers at the time.
Oh, same thing.
But like you just got destroyed, like what your man there in that picture. You were like that coming off the pitch because the just abrasions from the sand.
You know, that's friction is the problem with non-grass pitches. If they can sort it out, I mean, the idea that because one of the things that geographically limits all field sports is the availability of fields, is particularly during winter. So if you can do something that expands the game, I mean, Scotland as you go up towards Aberdeen and stuff like that, it's very hard to play rugby in the Highlands during the winter because of the state of the pitches with the freezing. So if you can come up with a reliable, you know, whatever they are, 3G, 4G, whatever pitches, then, you know, that's good for the game, but they have to be safe for the players.
Yeah, well, I think like they've those pitches that they put in Donnybrook and in the back of the Aviva, like they spend a lot of money on those, and I'm surprised to see that from from happening in Scottstown, considering that it's only recently laid that pitch.
Yeah, it's a relatively new pitch and would be one of the
I'm
higher
sure,
technology
I'm
ones.
sure it is, like, because obviously it's for a pro rugby team, it's going to be fairly
Yeah,
high
yeah.
tech. But I'm surprised to see that. I mean,
Yeah, it's a nasty one.
Well, before we go, we just have a quick rattle through the other teams' fixtures this weekend.
There's more rugby.
There's a little bit more. Well, I suppose we just get the Ulster Connacht one out of the way. Connacht haven't won.
JFK.
Yeah, 64?
63.
63.
The last time Connacht won up in Ulster, King Billy was still on his white horse. I think they might have a chance this time around. Well, there's two things playing into it. One,
Rory
Connacht
Best is back.
are pretty good, and Ulster have the weaknesses we discussed earlier. But they are at home. They're in front of their own crowd. Roy Best makes a huge difference. He's such a magnificent leader.
It's going to have to go sometime, this record.
Yeah.
Whether it's this year or not. But like 1963 is a very long time ago. You know, I don't know. I was looking for the date of the game there recently.
I'd say it was about.
They won 13-3.
22nd, perhaps?
They won 13-3 in 63, Connacht did, and they won 13-3 in 64. So obviously the 64 one was in Galway or in Connacht somewhere anyway. But what date the game happened? So I was trying to find out, like, you know, was it before or after JFK was assassinated? Was he still alive when Connacht played? You know,
Great if he was.
very, very interesting to.
Sure, they wouldn't have cared about him up there anyway.
He was a take.
He was a take. But no, sorry, our Ulster viewer. But no, it'd be interesting to see. Connacht will go up there, and I think when Connacht look at tape against Leinster again, they'll actually think, we played pretty well in terms of what we could do. We came up against a really good team who stopped us doing anything, but we actually played quite well. So they'll be, they'll go up to that match full of confidence anyway.
It depends on who Ulster have available in the pack. If they have Henderson back and they have Best, like they're halfway there. I don't know what the status is. I haven't looked through their list of who's injured, but is Coetzee playing or is he injured? I don't know either. I haven't taken a lot of it.
I saw a list.
They had a big
about
injury
a week
list.
ago,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh god, yeah, they're going to get it.
But they do have a huge injury list,
Yeah.
alright, yeah.
So if they don't have enough guys back in the pack, I think Connacht could do a number on them, and that'd be brilliant for Connacht to put such an old ghost away. I mean, remember when it was only 1986 that the record was for Thomond Park? They hadn't won in Thomond Park since 1986, and they put that to bed about 4 years ago or so.
Yeah.
So this is the other big one.
Yeah. The two Welsh derbies are on this weekend as well. So the Ospreys travel to Scarlet, so
The
they,
two
Scarlets
good
win.
they
Welsh
might do
teams
us
against the two
a favour, maybe.
Scarlets win.
against each other. Scarlets, you'll have to think, will have too much for the Ospreys at home in Scarletania.
And the Dragons host Cardiff.
Poor Al Bernard.
Well, Jacko has won 2 from 5.
You see, this could be, that he's been kind of husbanding his better players. This could be one of the games he's been husbanding them for.
Yeah.
They are at home, aren't they?
Dragons are at home.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that this could be one of the games that
Targeting.
You'd have to say Cardiff, but you'd have to say Cardiff.
Well, Dragons have another game this weekend against Leinster in Ystrad Minach, which is near Caerphilly. So, there you go. They'll have a divided
And
squad.
they've organised a friendly match against Hong Kong, the Hong Kong national team, for Ebba Vale.
This weekend as well.
Not this weekend, no. I think during the autumn internationals.
Dragons have.
The Dragons have.
Have they?
So it might be part of kind of an outreach, a Gwent outreach program. We took the G out of the name, but we're still in the region, kind of thing.
If you take the G out of Gwent, you're left with Went.
If you take the G out of Dragons, you're left with Drowns.
And the other two matches, well, Edinburgh take on the Cheetahs, and the only really other matches are Treviso against Kings.
Yeah, it'd be an unusual experience for Richard Cockrell up against Cheetahs, and they're not talking about him. That'll be an interesting game, actually. When does the Curry Cup must be coming to an end soon? I haven't actually been keeping an eye on it, but it must be near to an end, so you'd hope Dragons will get stronger.
Kings.
Hmm?
Did you say Dragons?
Oh, sorry, Cheetahs. Cheetahs will get stronger. Be interesting to see. You'd have to put an Edinburgh win going on.
Oh yeah.
Form and past things, and you could tell Kings exactly what's going to happen in advance, and show them the tape of the match before it happens, and they'd still lose against Glasgow Warriors. They just don't have the players.
It's Treviso. The Kings are playing Treviso.
Oh, Kings playing Treviso. I thought they were playing Glasgow. Sorry.
Glasgow are playing Zebra.
Oh well, yeah.
They're mixing up all the two team.
You could give Zebra a tape of the match. I mean Zebra have been going well this year under Mick Bradley. I don't see them.
Not well enough for Scotstoun.
No, I don't see them putting much of a halt to Glasgow's gallop though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.